The lights had barely gone down after 2 unforgettable nights in Toronto when an unexpected moment suddenly became the center of attention. Jimin of BTS was reportedly presented with a special 2026 K-pop award by Bang Si Hyuk, creating a dramatic finale that left fans stunned and emotional. After giving everything on stage for 2 consecutive nights, Jimin found himself at the heart of another unforgettable moment, this time away from the concert performance, under the spotlight of a special recognition. But what made this moment so emotional? Why did the presentation immediately spark intense reactions among ARMY? And why did fans describe it as the perfect ending to BTS's Toronto chapter? The Toronto concerts had already delivered everything fans could have hoped for: powerful performances, explosive choreography, emotional vocals, unforgettable interactions, and an atmosphere that seemed to grow stronger with every song. For 2 nights, the city became a sea of purple as thousands of fans gathered to celebrate BTS. Jimin, known for his extraordinary stage presence and ability to connect emotionally with an audience, once again became one of the most talked-about performers of the event. But after the final performance ended, the story appeared to continue. According to the scenario surrounding this special moment, Jimin was presented with a prestigious K-pop recognition referred to as the Best K-pop Award 2026, with Bang Si Hyuk personally handing him the trophy. The symbolism of the moment was powerful. It came immediately after 2 demanding nights of performances in Toronto, making the recognition feel like a celebration of Jimin's dedication, artistry, and influence. For fans watching the moment unfold, the timing alone was enough to make it unforgettable. Jimin had just completed 2 nights of intense performances. His energy on stage had remained remarkable, even through physically demanding choreography and emotionally challenging songs. Night after night, he continued to perform with precision, confidence, and the unmistakable charisma that has made him one of BTS's most recognizable performers. And then came the trophy. The atmosphere surrounding the presentation quickly became emotional. Rather than simply seeing an artist receive another award, fans interpreted the moment as recognition for years of hard work. Jimin's journey has never been defined by one performance or one achievement. It has been built through countless rehearsals, recordings, concerts, interviews, collaborations, and moments in which he continued to push himself as an artist. That is why the Toronto presentation carried such emotional weight. The story begins with the concerts themselves. Toronto had been transformed into a massive celebration of BTS. Fans arrived wearing purple, carrying banners, holding light sticks, and preparing themselves for nights they had been waiting for. The anticipation was enormous, and when the members appeared on stage, the reaction was immediate. The crowd erupted. Every movement, every vocal line, and every interaction became part of the atmosphere. Jimin's entrance was especially powerful. His presence on stage immediately drew attention, and as the performance progressed, his ability to balance powerful choreography with emotional expression became increasingly obvious. There is something unique about watching Jimin perform live. His movements can be incredibly sharp and controlled, yet they can also appear effortless. His facial expressions communicate emotion even when he is not singing. His dancing has a fluid quality that allows him to move naturally between powerful sequences and softer moments. Toronto witnessed that combination across 2 nights. For fans, the concerts were not simply performances. They were memories being created in real time. The first night established the energy. The second night raised the intensity even further. By the end of the second concert, fans were exhausted but emotional, knowing that the Toronto chapter had come to an end. Then came the unexpected recognition. The presentation of the trophy reportedly took place after the concerts, transforming an already emotional occasion into something even more memorable. When Bang Si Hyuk appeared to present the award, the significance immediately became the subject of conversation. His presence added another layer to the moment because of his long association with BTS and the broader history of the group's career. The trophy itself represented more than a physical object. For fans, it represented acknowledgement. It represented the countless hours behind the scenes that audiences never see, the rehearsals that continue long after cameras are turned off, the physical exhaustion that performers experience while preparing for major tour, the pressure of performing in front of tens of thousands of people, the responsibility of maintaining consistency from one city to another. Jimin has experienced all of that. And Toronto became the backdrop for a moment that appeared to celebrate the results of that journey. What made the moment even more emotional was Jimin's reaction. Rather than treating the award simply as another achievement, the atmosphere suggested genuine appreciation. There was a sense that the recognition had arrived at a meaningful point in the tour, immediately following 2 nights in which Jimin had given everything to the audience. Fans quickly began discussing the symbolism. Some described it as a reward for perseverance. Others viewed it as a celebration of Jimin's artistry. Many simply celebrated the emotional significance of seeing him recognized after such an intense concert schedule. The reaction spread rapidly across fan communities and social media discussions. Toronto Army had already been celebrating the concerts, but the award transformed the conversation. Instead of discussing only the performances, fans were now talking about Jimin's achievements, his growth as an artist, and the significance of receiving recognition in front of people connected to his career. The phrase "Best K-Pop 2026" quickly became associated with the emotional Toronto moment. But beyond the title of the award, there was a much bigger story. Jimin's career has been defined by evolution. From his early years with BTS to his development as a solo artist, he has consistently demonstrated a willingness to challenge himself. His artistic identity has expanded through different musical styles, performances, concepts, and collaborations. That evolution is particularly visible on stage. Jimin does not simply perform choreography, he interprets it. Every movement contributes to the mood of a song. Every expression adds another layer to the performance. His ability to communicate through dance has become one of his strongest artistic characteristics. That is why an award recognizing his contribution to K-pop would feel especially meaningful to fans. It would acknowledge not only popularity, but performance. Not only fame, but artistry. Not only success, but dedication. And after Toronto, those themes seemed particularly relevant. 2 consecutive concert nights require enormous physical and emotional preparation. Performing once at the highest level is difficult enough. Doing it again, the following night requires discipline and endurance. Jimin demonstrated both. Even when the choreography became demanding, he continued to deliver. Even when the emotional moments became intense, he remained connected to the audience. And when the crowd responded with enormous enthusiasm, he appeared to feed that energy back into the performance. That connection between Jimin and ARMY has always been one of the defining elements of BTS's live performances. Toronto made that connection impossible to ignore. The audience did not simply watch. They participated. They sang. They screamed. They waved their light sticks. They responded to every interaction. And when the concerts ended, the emotional energy did not disappear immediately. Instead, it carried into the award moment. For many fans, that made the recognition feel like a continuation of the celebration. The concert said, "Jimin performed." The trophy seemed to say, "Jimin's artistry was recognized." Together, those moments created a powerful narrative. One of the most interesting aspects of the story is the involvement of Bang Si Hyuk. His appearance made the presentation feel personal and significant. For an artist who has spent years building a career within the BTS story, receiving a trophy from someone so closely connected to that journey would naturally create an emotional atmosphere. Fans immediately focused on the symbolism of the handover. A trophy passed from one person to another can last only a few seconds. But the meaning behind those seconds can be enormous. For Jimin, it could symbolize years of growth. For Bang Si Hyuk, it could represent recognition of an artist whose career has reached extraordinary heights. For ARMY, it became another memory connected to BTS's long journey. And for Toronto, it became a memorable ending to two spectacular nights. Of course, what truly matters is not simply the trophy itself. Awards come and go. Trophies eventually sit on shelves. Titles eventually become part of history. But the emotion surrounding an award can last much longer. That is what made this moment so interesting to fans. Jimin had already made Toronto unforgettable through his performances. The recognition simply added another chapter to the story. Imagine the contrast. Thousands of voices filling a stadium. Music shaking the venue. Lights moving across the audience. Jimin performing powerful choreography. Fans screaming his name. Then, after all of that noise, a quieter moment. A trophy. A recognition. A smile. A moment of appreciation. That contrast can make an award presentation even more emotional. And for fans who had spent 2 nights watching Jimin perform, seeing him receive recognition afterward would naturally feel like a reward for the journey they had shared with him. The Toronto concerts also demonstrated something important about Jimin's continued popularity. His appeal is not limited to one particular era. Fans continue to follow his development because they want to see what he will do next. Every new performance brings a different interpretation. Every new stage reveals another side of his artistry. That constant evolution is part of what makes Jimin so compelling. He can be powerful one moment and delicate the next. He can dominate a choreography sequence and then create a quiet emotional moment with a single expression. That versatility is one reason fans continue to describe him as one of the standout performers in K-pop. So when the Toronto Award moment arrived, it did not feel isolated. It appeared to fit into a much larger story. A story about growth. A story about dedication. A story about an artist continuing to evolve. And most importantly, a story about the connection between an artist and the people who have supported him throughout the journey. ARMY reactions reflected that emotional connection. Fans celebrated the award, shared memories from the concerts, discussed Jimin's performances, and expressed pride in seeing him recognized. Some fans focused on his dancing. Others talked about his vocals. Some highlighted his stage presence. Others simply celebrated the fact that he had completed 2 major concert nights and still had enough energy to create another memorable moment afterward. Different perspectives, same conclusion. Toronto had become special. The city was already important because of the concerts. But the award added another layer. It turned the end of the 2-night event into something fans could continue talking about long after the final notes had disappeared. And perhaps that is the biggest reason this story captured attention. It was not just about winning. It was about recognition at the right moment. Jimin had just finished performing for his fans. The adrenaline of the concerts was still fresh. The memories were still vivid. And then came a moment that appeared to acknowledge the effort behind those performances. For an artist, that timing can make an award feel even more meaningful. It becomes part of the memory of the performance itself. Years from now, Fans may remember Toronto not only as the place where Jimin performed for 2 unforgettable nights, but also as the place where he received a special recognition that celebrated his contribution to K-pop. That is the emotional power of moments like this. They connect the past, present, and future. The past represents everything Jimin has accomplished. The present represents the Toronto performances. And the future represents everything he has yet to achieve. If the Best K-pop Award 2026 recognition becomes part of Jimin's story, Toronto will undoubtedly remain an important chapter. But perhaps the most beautiful part of the story is that the award did not happen before the concerts. It came after the lights, after the choreography, after the vocals, after the cheers, after 2 nights of giving everything to the audience. That timing made the recognition feel like a final celebration. A celebration of effort. A celebration of artistry. A celebration of Jimin. And for ARMY, it became another reason to be proud. Toronto had already witnessed Jimin at his best. The award simply gave fans one more unforgettable image to carry home. 2 nights, 1 city, thousands of fans, countless memories, and one emotional recognition that turned the end of the Toronto concerts into a moment fans would not easily forget. Jimin's journey continues. And if there is one thing Toronto made clear, it is that his impact on the K-pop world remains powerful. The music may stop. The stage lights may fade. The crowd may eventually go home. But the memories remain. And on this particular night in Toronto, the memory was made even more special by a trophy, a moment of recognition, and an artist standing at the center of it all. Jimin, a performer, an artist, a global star, and for one unforgettable Toronto moment, the recipient of a special recognition that left ARMY celebrating long after the concerts were over.